have been met.
Yep, meeting was posted in the clerk's office last Thursday, sent to committee members and posted on the county website.
Thank you, Dave. And we'll start with the roll call of committee members.
Lyon, present.
Adams present.
Anderson present.
Sorgi present.
Galazinski, present.
And Whalen present. Thank you very much. Adoption of agenda, as everybody should have access to the agenda. What we need is a motion to approve the agenda along with the second, please.
I move to approve.
So moved.
That's fine. Take that one. I'll second. Yep.
We have a motion and a second for adoption of the agenda. Is there any debate? Seeing none, all in favor of adopting the agenda signify by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, no. Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Next on the list is the approval of the 2/4/2025 regular meeting minutes. I hope everybody had access to them, was able to take a look at those. Is there a motion for approval of the minutes of the 2/4/25 regular committee meeting?
Motion to approve.
Can I second that?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded for approval of the meeting minutes. Is there any debate? Seeing none, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of approval of the meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, no. Meeting minutes are adopted. This starts the public comment time. The call-in number for today is 715-538-1894. Anyone with comments? The call-in number is 715-538-1894. We will proceed to number 7 on the list, and that's Gene Glinsinski from the Wisconsin Great River Road update. Gene, are you available?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Gene. Thank you very much.
You betcha. Good morning, everybody. The WIGCOT meeting, Wisconsin Governor's Conference on Tourism, will be here next week in La Crosse. The Great Road Visitor Guide is printed, and we are waiting to have our committee people pick it up for distribution. And we are finishing up with writing our April GEM grant to the Wisconsin Department of Tourism. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Gene. Does anybody have questions for Gene at all, the Great River Road? Seeing no questions, we will continue. We will continue with the Economic Development and Tourism Report from Dave Carlson. Dave, take it over.
All right, well, good morning, everybody. The last month has been pretty busy. Apologize for not being here for the February meeting, but I had a doctor's appointment, and then I was off to the Governor's Conference on Economic Development down in Milwaukee. It was a really kind of intense couple of days of conferences and sessions. Came away with some really good ideas about what some other communities are doing to try to promote new housing development, some things that may work here. There was a lot of talk about the influx of artificial intelligence into all kinds of business sectors and what that might mean. Next week, I'll be going to the Governor's Tourism Conference down in La Crosse. Gene mentioned that should be pretty exciting. Always come away with some good ideas from that. Our project with the University Alliance is progressing. I think in my report last month, I mentioned that I did go down to the University of Wisconsin at Madison late January to meet with the applied ag and economics class. This is a senior capstone class, and so we were looking for students to, work on our project, made a pitch, and I have a group of 5 students that I'm working with now that I affectionately call Team Trempealeau. And we've been meeting online once every week to 10 days. They're talking about coming up here late March, early April, just so they can see what they're working on. But basically, the product that we're expecting to come away from in that project is a list of kind of businesses that we could recruit or help to grow that are in that outdoor recreation space. So it could be, manufacturers of outdoor recreation gear. It could be, getting a logistics service put together to haul your kayak and canoe and your butt back to where you started, and that. So it's pretty exciting. Becky and I have been working on development of an economic development fund that conceptually will give out grants to startup businesses or small businesses, and then make some loan funds or grant funds, I should say, available to do facade improvements in our downtown historic district. So still trying to hammer out the details on that, but that should be pretty exciting. Social media wise, just a quick update. We are sitting at 4,198 followers now on our Facebook page, which is better than double what we had 2 years ago. And I'm not saying I'm all responsible for it, but I know that the benchmark was at about 2,038 back in March of 22 when I arrived, and we've made some substantial progress. By the way, we're also the #1 Trempealeau County Facebook page now. We passed up the Highway Department, who had the biggest following. The other thing I'll mention about social media, since you may not be aware of this, is we did do a consolidation of some of our county Facebook pages. So parks rolled into tourism. So the parks Facebook page is gone now. We'll be doing that as part of the tourism Facebook page. Parks was sitting at about 700 followers. So rolling their information into the tourism page really should get a lot more reach for that. And then the highway department was renamed Trempealeau County Government. So with a Facebook page, you can go in and make a name change and keep your fan base or followers. So that's what we did. And this was assisted by Pilch & Barnett, the same marketing firm that's working with us on our GEM grant for destination marketing. So rolling into the general government page was, I think, land management, economic development, veterans services. Feels like there was one other one I can't remember. And then behavioral health merged with the health department's Facebook page. They had a pretty sizable following as well. I think it was 2,000-3,000. And then that was rebranded as a health and human services Facebook page. So we went from something like 9 Facebook pages or 10 down to 3. And then the sheriff's department's got their own page. Yeah,
Question here, Dave.
yeah.
Is the goal to stay at 4, or is it to consolidate into 1? I think the sheriff's department it probably makes sense for them to be a separate page. I'm just wondering what the plan is.
No, I think this is the end plan.
Okay.
Because we did some conversation, got some professional input from Pilch & Barnett. And, for instance, we had talked about, and ADRC still has their own page. So
Yeah.
initially, we were talking about ADRC folding in, but they made a good case, and I mean that they should be separate. Because it kind of functions, it's in county government, but it kind of functions as a, its own brand
Sure it
with
is.
services and stuff.
Even
Well,
though
I
it's
think-
part of health and human service, I
Right.
think it's kind of semi-autonomous, like you said.
Yep.
And I think people who want to use that service and go there are very specific to that service. Same with the sheriff's department, perhaps. I think consolidating is a good idea. I know I've looked for things. It's kind of too many places to look. So now we
Well,
have more than
Yeah,
too
and
many.
the other, frankly, the other issue that we run into, and we did run into this in this process, is there's pages out there that were created at one point, and human resources is an example. So when Rick Niemeyer was here and he was in charge of HR, he created a Facebook page for HR, and Rick's gone now, and we have no way of accessing that page, including to delete it. So there are ways to do that, and I will be working on that, but it involves like reaching out to Meta, Facebook's parent, and saying, hey, we're Trempealeau County government. This was set up by somebody that's no longer here. We need to delete it.
Well, that's interesting. Was that, and you know what? I'm going to ask you later because I don't want to waste time.
Yeah,
Because it has to do with the general terms of what to do. So anyway, I'll talk to you later.
yeah, sounds good. Well, and, you know, the final thing I'll say about that is by consolidating them to, you know, for that general government Facebook page, we're going to have more content to put out there. So we'll have the highway stuff. I've been cross-posting some tourism stuff on that. You know, we've been using it already as an HR platform, you know, for job recruitment. So I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to pay some dividends.
Thank you, Dave. I know if you.
Oh, yep.
Go ahead.
Final thing I was going to say as part of my report, because it is official now, am going to be retiring on May 23rd. So
Well, congratulations,
Two more-
I think. Not for us, but for you.
Two more PTED meetings after this, but I just sat down, I did the math, and, you know, honestly, I can do pretty well retiring. And there's some things I want to work on, so I'm not going to stop working. I'm just going to be doing some, you know, consulting in addition to volunteer work, so I'm pretty excited about that. But I'm not coasting. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to get done, and Becky wants me to get done before I leave, so.
And congratulations
Thank
on
you.
that decision,
Appreciate it.
Dave. That's a big deal.
Dave, one thing,
Yeah.
is that the Facebook page that you've got set up for us now, has that got a new call name, call letters or anything like that to get into it? You know, people are listening in TV land here.
Right.
And they've probably got disgusted that they couldn't find it. Does it automatically go to it, or has it got a new call name?
Yeah, so we did post on the pages that were going away. We posted for about 2 weeks, you know, that content would be moving, and told them where it was going to be going. But if you previously were going to land management or economic development or veteran services on Facebook, you now would go into Facebook and type in the search bar Trempealeau County Government, and that will get you where you need to be. And if you are looking for parks, it's now under Trempealeau County Tourism.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we appreciate the update on that, and I'm sure everybody at home who's listening appreciates how to get into it. At this time, we have a presentation scheduled of the 2024 Tourism Marketing Campaign Analytics from Brent Hannafel of River Travel. Are you available, Brent?
I am. Can you hear me?
You bet. We'll let you take it away.
All right. Let me see if I can share here.
Just so everybody knows, while Brent is pulling up his material, River Travel Media, they're out of La Crosse, and they are a firm that we've been working with, I think, for now, 3+ years, Brent. And they've been assisting with, you know, kind of helping with development of the brand, something we're continuing on with as part of our GEM grant, but also they've been really, really helpful in juicing our social media strategy a little bit, but especially in the digital advertising out on the web. So we worked, I think we first worked with them in 2021 or 2020 during COVID, trying to do something to enhance our tourism promotion at a time that, you know, visitors were dwindling a little bit. And then continued through 2022 with them with a rather significant boost that we got almost $20,000 in marketing money from ARPA funds. So the last couple of years, it's been a little bit of a reduced spend that we've done with them, but we've gotten really good results. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Brent to talk about what happened.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Like Dave said, I've been working with Trempealeau County for a number of years now, participating in, kind of scaling up and scaling down and providing various services. Can everyone see my screen here with just the little report that I'm going to report on?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
All right, so we provide some end of the year analytics in early January. I'm just going to kind of go through the website a little bit. We're going to touch on some of the other activities that we participated in through that time frame. So kind of jumping into the analytics for the website, through June through December 31st. Seeing good sessions to the website throughout that time period. Unfortunately, during that time, it was a rollout for new Google Analytics called G4. So we compare year over year. I think the county had to switch over or something along those lines. It was a really kind of fumbled rollout by Google. No fault of Trempealeau County, but just to give you an idea, so we can't compare those numbers about in terms of views. Exactly what you expect in terms of page views, people coming to your main landing page, which is that visitors piece there, followed by camping, bicycling, fishing, and hunting in the top 5. You can kind of see the bump here that happened through October and November, being more related to, fall colors is always a great time for you, but also there's a little bit increase in digital spend, which we'll get towards the end. Feel free to stop me at any time, but I may answer your question. We can answer it at the back here. Give you an idea of Facebook analytics. I've seen a lot of great stuff that you guys are doing on the ground there with your, I believe it's Foodie Fridays. But also we were helping out in terms of providing kind of ongoing sort of directives for people to go back to the website, sign up for a sweepstakes. Then you have their emails, which I know Dave has been sending out newsletters and things like that, and you can utilize that. In terms of reach, that 177,000 up comparative to the year previous, up about 58%. So that kind of aligns with the numbers that Dave is talking about. We posted twice a week with Dave also and his crew also supplementing that with those boots on the ground sort of pieces, which are doing really well. I follow you guys, of course, and see that sort of stuff. Some other data related to that. So just kind of seeing the Facebook views. Unfortunately, again, with that, Facebook also updated their collection system, so we cannot compare views over the previous year. But good numbers for basically, just for that sort of organic, posting, people staying top of mind, just complimentary pieces of all the great stuff that's happening in Trempealeau County. Additionally, this is where we get the most excited about is, getting you guys out far and wide on Google Display ad campaigns. You guys did outstanding. Trempealeau does very well in terms of people that are interested in the community related to display ads. We had close, well, it's 954,000, but, I like to say close to 1 million impressions showcasing, Trempealeau County in terms of, visibility across all the platforms that Google owns, which is basically, all of them when you're online, but everything from, news sites to leisure to all the different topics, outdoor recreation to even people playing those games that I'm sure that some of you have some games that you're addicted to that these ads were served and people were either seeing them or actually taking the initiative to click on them. So then in turn, we talk about the click-through rate. So 0.92%, that's basically around double exceeding the industry average for display advertising related to tourism and travel. So the campaign was producing and doing very well. Give you an idea, and again, you in Trempealeau County, I could say this without a doubt, you guys do have a very high in terms of click and actual engagement, and that is too, just after the years we've been working with you, close to that 9,000 interactions with the campaign. So that includes clicks, but it also includes people that, if we're rolling some video in there, or people can kind of expand and add that people actually it was on their device that we got a view out of that. Average cost per click, Anything under $1 is good. We like to keep it in that range. Basically what you see there, anything under 30 cents, we're super excited about. But also in some of the months we're down to, 15 cents a click on that as well. But it's basically just a way to get, an expansive reach in your drive markets that you guys picked out. With those ongoing impressions, kind of keeping your destination top of mind for people that are on their cell phones. You kind of see some of the digital display ads here. This is kind of a representation of just some of the ads. So these ads vary and are malleable. There's actually hundreds of different variations that, just as Dave mentioned, AI, that are serving ads based on the 15 images that we put up that were cycled out throughout the season based on the seasons, fall colors, spring, summer. So these aren't all the images. There's additional, probably around 30 that we cycled through. But just to give you an example of how you might see some of these, but also these might be in banner ads. These might be more of a GIF sort of movement sort of piece to it. But you can kind of see how these places lay out. I'm sure maybe if there's that maybe updated or new logo, those sort of pieces can change too as well. A lot of it is trying to get people to opt in for that sweepstakes. But also just getting people to your website to check out the information as well. Speaking of that, did a sweepstakes. I'll kind of scroll down here, kind of give it an idea of what it looked like. Collected 269 emails for your database, for your newsletters. Total entries, so people are able to share that on their social media. They're able to forward their friends, and people can earn extra entries for that as well. You had a good conversion rate, close to that 3%, which the range is usually 2 to 3. So it's kind of it's right in that sort of industry standards for sweepstakes when people are signing in. I did have some, suggestions on there for future ones. Potentially if it's, future, it sounds like there's a lot going on in Trempealeau, but, if there's a new website, it may allow for more people to potentially sign up and opt in for those pieces. But overall, from that campaign, June through December, I mean, we're pretty happy with it. But Trempealeau is always doing well in terms of we see with analytics in terms of people actively interested in the area. If anyone has any questions, but rivertravelmedia.com is where we're at if you want to check us out. We will also be at WTCO too. So if anyone wants to stop by our booth or come say hello.
Thank you, Brent. We appreciate that. If there's anything additional that needs to be sent out or anything that we need to take care of, just make sure you send it back to us so we know. Appreciate the time you put in on that effort. Continuing on.
Kevin, can I just
You bet.
bounce back to the tourism report? I failed to mention our visitor's guide. I think you all got copies of the visitor's guide at the county board meeting a couple weeks ago. I dropped a box of them off to Bob to hand out at the service station. But the distribution's been going really well. I was at a funeral over the weekend, and somebody came up from Madison, and they told me they stopped in the Juneau County rest area and picked up a copy of our guide. So that was cool. We did drop ship guides to all of the visitor centers in the state of Wisconsin, and a number of chambers of commerce around the state. And then we also are paying for some distribution on those visitors' guides along the I-90, I-39 corridor down basically from like the Dells through Portage, Madison, down to Elgin, Illinois. So we ordered 30,000 guides total. We held back 5,000 to distribute in county here, and I'm just about done. I just have Blair left to go, but I've been going around dropping them at places that I think, would be key pickup locations, gas stations, libraries, City Hall, Village Hall, some key restaurants or popular attractions. Lori Severson got a couple of boxes, for Champions and dropped a couple, or box up at Stony Creek. So we're over 3,000 that already have been distributed within the county. I just think that's good. But I just wanted to point out the bulk of our guides are being distributed outside because we want to bring people in. So that is all I've got. Bob, do you have a question?
Yeah, I've handed out probably 40, 50 of them already.
Oh, my gosh.
And a lot of people that live in Trempealeau County had said it's very well put together. A lot of positive comment.
Thank you.
And the other thing is, have you just talked about maybe putting them in some of these sports shows? I know next week, there's one up the old Menard Center in Eau Claire that brings in quite a few people. Like the one in La Crosse is done already with,
Yeah.
and I don't know if the one in Milwaukee's done yet.
We'll take a look at that. You
But I
know,
know next week there's one at the old Menard Center.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty good sized one.
yeah, we'll take a look at that. That's a good idea. I know, I don't know if they'll take them if you don't have a booth, and then we'd have to figure that into our budget, but yeah.
I wonder if like, one of these other, well, I don't know if they're in existence, like Indian Head before.
Sure.
You could put those in their booth and stuff like that.
Sure,
Because we
yeah.
were part of the Indian Head
No, that's a good
area and
point.
stuff like that.
My brother-in-law goes to some of those shows too for his trailer sales business, so I'll have to look into that. Yeah, that's a good idea. And the other thing is, we'll probably hold back a few boxes for sure to, get down to the state fair, whether we have our own booth or whether we co-op with, another county or Great River Road or something like that.
Is there a slot in that information booth right at Petrick Park that we could,
I think so.
stick, you don't want to stick a bunch of them in because in climate and weather, but everybody goes there at one time,
Yeah.
If you stick 8, 10 of them at a time, I mean,
Yep.
people, if they're camping or just stop to use the bathroom and they
Yeah.
want to, they're
I
not
was
from
gonna-
here, they
I was
want to
gonna
know
talk
about
to
the
Jack
county.
about that, and I think, when we have people here in August for Ashley, we can have them available for people too, because that's a great opportunity with people coming in from out of the area to see what else there is to do around the area here.
They're looking for material on us. If they're here already, there's something that they're going to be participating in. They're looking for other things to do because whatever they're working with, it's good to see that. That's a great idea for a small
'Cause I
amount.
know, a lot of people, sure, this is the computer age or cell phone age, but there's certain things in the, paper products, when you're sitting down in the morning having a cup of coffee by yourself, you're just grabbing for something just to page through. Because if it's, digital, you only see the highlights of it. People get a kick out of just seeing advertisements for a business place or a catchy caption or something like that. You just that piece of paper when you're having coffee in the morning, just to page through.
And we do have a full page ad that we are doing in the March, April on Wisconsin Outdoors. So that's the one that's distributed in all the Quick Trips. I think they do 100,000 copies that go to all the Quick Trips. I think that's 50,000 copies get distributed that way in the state. Plus, they also go and do some weekly newspapers, including down in northern Illinois. So we have a really nice full-page ad that we got with that. Plus, we got like a half-page write-up, editorial write-up that we provided. So looking for opportunities where we can find them.
Appreciate that, Dave. With that, we'll look at the opportunity that we have with Jack. He's going to give us a park report on everything going on at Petrick.
Hopefully everyone got a chance to review the park report in your folder. I can go over, I do actually have some images on here, so I think I will be kind of showing a few pictures, so I will be sharing my screen. So just give me a sec here. All right. So basically, we had both, it was Backyard Garden Center, came to the park on the 28th, as well as Slobby Electric, and we found out we have a problem in our back room with our electric heater that has caused some things to, like our drain valve is frozen, and our furnace needs to be running pretty much all the time back there. And it wasn't cut on, I believe, since the marks had started. So there was some issues that Slobby had identified. We ended up getting an estimate for them. They put a thermostat in for us. And then I kind of worked with Jeremy, our facilities manager, to end up doing the things that need to get done with like the electric heater, the drain valve being frozen. So water's just kind of collecting because once we took out a drain cup in our furnace, water just started pumping out of it when we kicked the temp on because it was sitting at 42 degrees. That's kind of the reason I think these pipes have been bursting on the frequent, is because we haven't had our furnace kicked on. I think it was installed in 2012, and I think since the marks have been on, our groundskeepers, from the talks I've had with them, they haven't cut it on. So they started in 2017. So that furnace has not been on for about 10 years, and it's leading to some problems, and we're dealing with it internal. So I'm glad Jeremy, I reached out to him, and I think we're going to start working together a little bit more. He'll be a great resource for me. So, we want to take care of things in-house if we can first, before we are going to vendors. So we do appreciate, Slobby coming in, putting a thermostat in, putting a drain cup in, telling us what the issue is. And we want to continue working with Slobby, but county stuff we can take care of for a lower cost if we do it internal. So just wanted to give you an update because some stuff happened since I sent the stuff out. I'll give you a picture here. Yeah, we can continue going. If you go down to the back, you'll kind of see like a little hose coming out. Jeremy and I are going to work that out. Entrance sign update. So basically, we had identified that this is kind of a huge thing to, increase visitors. When they go past Petrick Park, we've got that one brown sign, and it's easy to go past. So we want something that goes dual direction on Highway 93, and then it allows people to kind of, at least look, oh, that's a county park. So I think I drafted out a plan and just kind of want to be clear and transparent because I think this is going to be a higher price tag item project. The first phase of the project would probably be some type of concrete pad first, where we deal with that internally through our highway department or other means. And then this Stoneworks out of Holman could probably help us with that first design of that stone of our base. So I wanted that incorporate, that Wood County stuff that I've shown you guys with some wood and, have a natural feeling entrance sign so you can clearly see that it's a county park. And the stone would be the first kind of phase. And if you guys want to see kind of the entrance sign broken down again, got a plan drafted, so just want to be clear and transparent about how we're going about it. Trempealeau Lake Lots did actually get some conversation with the Mississippi Valley Conservancy recently. They actually emailed me yesterday, so we'll continue to work through that. And then we had a great plan brought forth to us, or kind of more an RFI with the Palmers and Highcliff. So we had identified some basic stuff that we can work on, and I'm kind of glad I talked to Jeremy when I did, and also our marks. These are easy fixes that we can do this year. So those are kind of some of the things I've broken down and stuff I think we can do sooner rather than later. Here's the water fountain. So basically, we didn't think we could, Simmons and Aberley didn't think they could get it back up and running. So now we're dealing with probably the removal of the fountain. And do we want to put a new one in? Probably not, because it's not required by code. So just wanted to show you our process here. The 7804, I think a wall-mounted fountain would end up looking best and give us a little extra space in there. I don't necessarily like how that water fountain is right in the middle there, so a wall-mounted fountain does make sense to me. But it is, you know, a high price tag. So maybe we remove the fountain because it doesn't work, it's not gonna work. And then we think about a different plan or, like I said, a more viable long-term solution, so.
Hey, Jack, Buzz. So where do people fill their water bottles if they're in the park? Where's our water source for park users if we don't have a fountain?
Right. So there's, I actually did talk to Jeremy about this too when I told him about the 7804 price tag. And he told me he could get me a fountain for about $1,800 that has a water bottle thing attached. So, I mean, continue working through our facilities guys. He's got 4 or 5 full-time guys under him. So one's electrician, background farmer, carpenter, one has a background in carpentry. So just being able to, again, lean on our internal people that we have here.
Is there a way to have that open before or completed before Memorial Day?
I think so. Yeah, I think that should be a goal. That's kind of why I brought it forth.
Since it's that low a cost, is there anything the committee has to do to make that happen?
Well, it might have to be an agenda item if we purchase the fountain at $1,800, but basically it'll just be a quick motion, I think, with you guys.
Is
So I
that
can
something we
present
should
that
do
next month.
meeting then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I can get that done.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. And then we had some, with me starting, we had established that we were gonna kind of keep the gate open, but that's not what our ordinance says, which has kind of led to a few different problems. But basically, if we keep that gate open during the wet season, our roads are gonna get way worse, and people are gonna use the park in the weekend, and we don't necessarily know, especially in our lower loop, that's kind of segmented out from the highway, who's going down there. So we have some concerns. I had a patrol officer out after I took these pictures on the 25th. These are just kind of some of my maintenance concerns that I kind of leaning. We got some improper drainage, some leaning electric pedestals. We got a lot of garbage, I think, happening on the weekends. And then accessible lips. We got to work on grading some lips, I think, and making sure if we have something that's in use, that it's. If you look at that that boardwalk there, it's got some really sharp metal things on the outside too. So it's like we've got to start looking at our park in a full, and I was trying to do a asset inventory update initially when I went to the park that day, and then realized there was a huge garbage problem. We had about 7 bins that were overflowing, so I ended up having to do garbage that day, unfortunately. So park gate ended up having to get locked just because of all the ruts that were happening on the road, garbage, that sort of thing. So have to kind of keep that in mind. Park gate is still locked, and we'll figure that out, I think this month. But it's just something I was having to deal with and not expecting, I suppose. And then just a shout out to Land Records for their help with campsite signage. the scope change, and then they provided me with the mapping materials for the bridge grant that we didn't get last year, so. And then I'll just show you guys a couple pictures here of the ruts. Unfortunately, someone was doing donuts at the park. And that's kind of the main reason why we locked the gate.
Because I was wondering why the gate was, but now I know why. Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's, you know, one person ruins it for everybody, and, you know, it's too bad. But, you know, with our dirt roads, and if the park's gonna be open year-round, we've got in our park plan to have widening roads, and we probably have to think about concrete and asphalt. All right, that should be it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would it take, like, in the long run? We can still maintain that, but if we put in like a farm gate where you go to the campground, so we can gate that off, and then say a gate where you go to the maintenance shed.
I
So
think there's,
basically, we just got a parking lot,
Yeah.
if people wanted to go in there and, you know, walk around or, you know, exercise their dog or something like that, we can still gate that off, and that was kinda what we used to do when we plowed that in the wintertime, just pile snow up, so they don't have free running of everything. They can, at least go in there and use it, you know, just to get out and stretch and walk around and stuff like that, but we wouldn't have to run a babysitting service.
right. Yep. It's unfortunate, because I saw, there was someone in there, we had some work done yesterday. There was someone in there, he's changing his car tire. So it's like, I'm like, sorry, like, can you speed it up, because I'm gonna have to lock the gate, because someone did donuts back there, and he was getting done, luckily. But it's like things like that, people use the park more than you'd think. So,
Well, I'm sure it was a safety issue, because everybody knows how busy Highway 93 is.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of getting hit by a car, hey, we'll just pull in here, nobody around, do what we gotta do, and take care of it.
yep. All right, I think that should be good.
All right, could we go to the park priorities then, Jack?
Sure. I'm not gonna share everything today. I think it'll just slow me up. Get out of here.
Don't mean to rush you, I know you got a full agenda on
No,
there.
you're good. You're good. My priorities are pretty basic. Okay. Well. I'll stop share. All right, so park priorities, still dealing with kind of the same things I think I was last month. Trying to get through park project timeline communications, as well as Petrick Park enhancement project development, campground opening procedures, working through some marketing stuff with Dave, and some new off-season developments here. And then review and organize an organization of agreements and policies. We've got those event agreements that got approved. We're kind of going towards how our ordinance states. So basically, we had like a special event permit and an event agreement. Now we're just going to do small and large gatherings. Special events for small and large gatherings. And Susan and I are still kind of working that stuff out, or Corp Council. And then outdoor recreation, kind of as a whole, there's 3 things that we'll get to on a little bit later. Snowmobile, I kind of deal with bridge grants and dealing with the 9 clubs that we have in the association, go to monthly meetings. And then we had great bridge project that went through with Steve Durham in the city of Osseo. We'll be working on that tomorrow. Our waterways permit, $89,000 bridge for the city of Osseo on their golf course. So yeah, outdoor recreation, we'll get to it in a little bit. Any questions on the priorities?
Susan's on, is she on or something?
No, I think we're just,
Jack, is that gentleman gonna plan on having rodeos out there again this summer?
yep. So we are meeting on the 7th with him and Friday at the Claw Shelter. So want to incorporate some other people just to that horse arena was, in my opinion, kind of thrown up. But 4-H, it was a 4-H initiative, and there was never any park collaboration with it. So, like a disclaimer and a corkboard, like some type of like messaging. You have to have a disclaimer if you're renting out a horse arena for the public. And we don't have that. And then you have to have, I think, some type of messaging to be able to use the arena so people know that that's an option.
There's a risk statement that most horse facilities have posted.
Right.
That due to the inherent nature of the animals you're dealing with, there's
You need a sign.
opportunities for risk. So we'll have to get a copy of that posted. That's important for when people are using it and when we're not getting anything from it, but we don't want to have the liability risk available
Yeah.
also.
So basically, with the rodeo, I kind of want to incorporate that with horse camping and that whole opportunity we have at the arena. So it's like UW Extension, and Andrew's gonna come with me to the meeting on Friday, and then we're gonna have a couple of volunteers that I think helped get the thing up, like Mark Brave and Doug Sokup. We'd asked them to be at the meeting, and then Connie Guza and Becky Hines and somebody from the 4-H Horse Project, trying to just have a meeting of minds and see what the best course of action for that horse arena is, because I don't necessarily have the time with having the whole campground to deal with and some other things to worry about, to put a lot of time and effort into that initiative. I want to I think that's a volunteer opportunity, so let's lean into that as much as we can. Good.
You ready to head into the camping reservation system update then, Jack, or do you have other stuff you want to cover?
Yeah, we can go to camping reservation. So basically, we had an issue with our Card Connect company. It was our card company along with CampSpot, and we had which is the reason for me looking back into this. I did look into this previously in April or May of '24. And I've kind of looked into what other county parks, how they organize things, and basically with CampSpot, I believe it's more for commercial campgrounds rather than municipalities. And if we have an option like Connect Parks or Rec Track, then this offers the opportunity to put things like informational stuff, camping reservations. It does allow us to do that, and allows us, Chippewa County was using like a pay point is what it was called. Their whole county uses this pay point, and I'll kind of read what I got here. One sec. So this came from Chippewa County, and it was a big thing. When I heard this, I was like, and then I kind of called them, and they solidified kind of some things that I was worried about, and I said, give me some things that why you think Connect Parks is a good thing. And basically in 2013 they made the switch. When I told them about the switch that I'm trying to look into, she said, without any hesitation, do it. Ease of use. It's more personal. So what I'm dealing with CampSpot, I think they have a lot more customers, and we pay, I think, $1,300 to $1,400. This would be, Connect Parks would be a $5,000 to $8,000 initial fee, but they customize to offer basically what we're trying to put out. So there's like Outagamie County. She compared us to like Outagamie County and Shinano, saying Shawano. She compared us to those two. This was, I'm kind of jumping a little bit. I apologize.
That's all right.
But I had talks with like the Connects Park person, and then I had talks with Chippewa County. Chippewa County said do it, easy use. Only 2 updates. They got it in 2013. 3 days of reconciliation in 30 minutes. More organized, structured reports. Can collab with cities, villages, and townships to drop price to provide an opportunity of what communities are looking for to put out for, like, say, recreational programming, which is my background. More direct personal customer service does not fail according to Chippewa County. So when I heard that, I was like, there's a lot there that I think we could work with and build from. And CampSpot, there's some things that it helps you with, but it's, from what I've seen, it's a little bit more scattered. I really like organized information and that type of thing, and being able to put that stuff out. And that's been the problem with CampSpot. I can't do that with the public. This would, I think, allow me to make that step. No, it was just basically, we did get some, some people that had some concerns when I first brought it in '24 about, making the switch. So basically, I want to let people know that I have a plan, and it would have to be after Ashley, I believe, and then we transition in September, October, and start transitioning from CampSpot to something like this.
So you want us to put it on the agenda for the September meeting?
Good,
And
yeah.
bring the resolution up, and that would be able to give the committee's contribution to the effort?
I think so.
All right, we'll make sure we get that on the September agenda then.
Can I ask a
Yep.
quick question, Chair Whalen?
Yes, go ahead, Mary.
So it appears, if I'm understanding this correctly,
Mm-hmm.
they maybe do a little bit more promoting, is that possible, than CampSpot or,
Well,
Not
no, it's more
necessarily.
customizable.
It's
So
more
I'll get to
customizable.
I'll get to the stuff, like the conversation I had from Lisa, who I'd be working with Connect Parks, is they use this thing called PayPoint, and everything is customizable. It won't define you into the next update, and like what they're talking about with those 3 days of reconciliation, they're working with counties, like countless counties throughout Wisconsin and Michigan, and they know exactly what reports county parks need. And CampSpot, that's not necessary. They're thinking about camping as a whole.
thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
Is this something you're looking to incorporate like January 1st? You start?
Well, it'd be probably April of next year, but it's a long process, and we'd have to, it's a transition that once our campground closes, I'm would probably be starting to look into it at that September meeting, and maybe make a motion, but we've got our fall camping too to worry about. We saw those numbers peak in our fall colors, so I don't want to mess with that.
But I mean, as the pay period, to start with a new calendar year.
Correct, yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just mention, Jack and I talked about this a little bit, and I certainly am supportive of, going a different route if it makes sense, and it sounds like Jack is doing the right research here. But because we've got some new committee members on, just a real quick background, we implemented CampSpot, I believe, right at the beginning of 2023. Prior to that, park staff, Reed, and it was Becky Arneson at that time who was our fiscal person in land management. We took reservations over the phone or in person. People had to drop off cash, all that stuff. And there was some conversation, prior to that about, getting an app developed or something developed to take reservations online. That was something IT was working on. And whoever they were working with just was really slow. And land management entertained, going to CampSpot, and we did. And I think the experience with CampSpot, despite some of the things Jack has talked about, has been pretty good. I mean, it's light years improvement over the way we were doing things. So if the next logical evolution is to, go to something that more closely meets our needs, then I think that makes some sense. The upfront thing is something we didn't have with CampSpot. There was no upfront costs. They do take, a percentage or, a fee on each reservation. But, so it's just, those are all things to consider. But, Jack coming from the rec background and doing the research on this with other counties, it sounds like it's definitely something worth looking at.
And that's what I wanted to make known, I guess, today is, keeping CampSpot is still an option. Maybe that's what's right for our county, and we're not ready for Connect Parks yet. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but I do think this is the right decision, my recommendation.
Thank you, Jack. We'll go with that idea then.
And then something that, if we could just go back, I guess, to the park report, we have a large item, a dollar item that I think should be proposed, but I don't necessarily think it can be proposed without an agenda title. I did get it just on Monday. So we have a quote, I can pass it around here, from HD Tree Service at $3,100 to clean up our lower loop. Fully. I don't think we've ever had a forester, or at least in a long time, into our Petrick Park. There's a lot of things in our lower loop that need cleaning up, and if we're gonna have that canoe and kayak launch go in April, need to make the proper safety precautions for it. So I'll try to get that pulled up quick so the people online can see it.
Is it just like dead trees, diseased trees, or some widow makers, as a safety issue, or?
You see it on the quote. There's one that's leaning, but it's a lot of cleanup, basically, tree trimming. So we don't necessarily have to do everything that's on the quote, but I don't think it'd be a bad idea. Okay, so here's the quote from HD Tree Service for some tree trimming, full cleanup. Like I said, mostly in our lower loop, we got one tree removal and a stump grinding. The tree trimming is what's gonna make it look good down there, but is also the biggest price tag. So he's got a quantity of 8 there. Maybe we can get that cut down.
When was the plan to have this accomplished?
Probably before the camping season and
yep.
when the dock goes in.
Is there, like, say that stump grinding, for instance, is that something that's like in the way, or is it higher up? I mean, a lot of times guys just like to sit on a stump, or they're gonna take
Yeah.
a picture or something like that.
I got the quote yesterday, so I'm totally open to communicate about it.
You gotta keep it there. It's the
Yeah,
park.
and then
I
the
have
other
good
thing,
stuff. I'm good.
the cleanup and that, a lot of that, they've got, the groundskeepers, they've got a pretty good pile of wood and stuff like that for people to use for campfires.
Yeah.
If we just cut it into, say, 16-inch pieces.
We got a fallen tree down on our trails too, so I'm not worried about firewood this year.
Just use it to burn, because it is from the park.
And that's something I can, the tree removal, they're just gonna take it down and I think put it in spots for us to cut. We talked about that, me and HD. Cause I walked the park with them about a month ago.
I do agree we gotta take it oak down.
Yeah, that oak is in bad shape. But it is an oak, so there's one of our fallen trees.
Yeah.
We need 8, so yeah, we'll see where we can get those trees. We're working on that. But I don't necessarily think I just wanted to, it's $3,100, so. But it's not an agenda item, so I think, but we have had it as agenda item in the past.
Yes.
So, but we've got new committee members now, so can we just make a motion to like,
Next meeting.
yeah,
We'll just go to tree trimming so we can get done before the campers get there.
right. So next month's meeting would be the 1st, so yeah, give me 2 weeks to,
Because usually we kind of go into the camping like the middle of April for the turkey.
I'll let those guys know then that, 10 days to kind of get it done. I'll get on their calendar.
And we don't need to grade in the stump, tell them.
I agree.
No
We don't
stump.
need
Use
it.
it as a table.
Yeah.
Well, we want an organic park. We don't need municipal,
So that'll take the price down $360. So now we're at 2,800 or something.
Or even if you
27.
pop some trees to keep the stump up a little higher.
I got no problem as long as we save our stump.
You know, people are always taking pictures.
We use stumps all the time.
I do.
Yeah.
All right, so do work. Okay. Sorry, get us off track. I think we can move on to the next one. Or-
Excellent. The SRF update is next on the agenda then, Jack.
Yep. All right, so I asked Phil to give me an update of where they're at. His quote was, we're getting close to having the drawings laid out and getting the last pieces of play furniture from Columbia and Cascade, and we'll have that layout for you in a couple days. We'll set up a meeting for that one ready. So we had that meeting. There was 2 items that weren't identified, like within the design previously. So we were working through that, and basically you have that, inside that loop, you have all of that brown, like wood chip, and if you guys remember the image, like within the loop, we've got that brown, kind of wood fiber, engineered wood fiber that we had displayed, and basically there was 2 items that weren't identified within that, loop, to help add contrast and color, and I guess a natural play experience. And they're trying to whittle that down a little bit more. So basically, I'll provide what Phil had got me. And we can pass this map around. Sorry for all the walking, Kevin. So the people got that map, and then there we go. And now the people online, I'll share that for you. So here's the map that he was talking about. Basically, I wanted to get the email, get what he said. So he said, here's our updated plan. Nate and I have been reviewing the plan and have some have reduced some of the items that we had reduced some of the items that we had multiple that we felt was excessive and brought in a play feature focus to tot to 5-year-old. We felt there wasn't a single dedicated feature that was associated to that age group. We placed it in the middle of the site, so there is a clear vision of the other play item. If a parent is monitoring another kid, this gives a clear sight line. I'm attaching the play item to give you an idea of what we're looking at. We'll align with color, continue to refine the plan, and ease the project forward, but we'll develop a great playground. Need to head out to, okay. So basically what our meeting was, when we met last Friday, was talking about, these new developments and how to actually take that concept design and make it into something real. And we've talked about these berms, embankment slides, just the natural play, swing. So now we're kind of going through, at least they are, and I'm trying to, give my support background information where I can. And we're going through and kind of identifying specific items and how they kind of go with the flow. So this all kind of plays a role into that, and what I'm doing with the urban forestry grant and with Renee is what we'd established is kind of the priority right now is those trees. And I think that'll be a good thing to do right now in our relationship with the donor, Tom Schenk.
The wood chip area you're talking about, what, you said it's industrialized, it's processed wood chip looking stuff? Is it plastic? What is it?
No, engineered wood fiber is more broken down.
So it's real wood?
Yeah.
And then just out of curiosity, and I don't know, I could be very outdated, sand piles, are they okay for children anymore?
Well, these aren't sand piles. These
No,
are
but
actually berms.
Right, but I'm wondering if you're talking about there was nothing to accommodate the tot to 5-year-old? Mm-hmm. And maybe sand piles are not the thing anymore. But anyway, but what you're talking about is more geared toward that age group.
Yeah. So what he'd established, if you kind of, let's see if I can get a better look here. Stick in the mic. There's these little steppers, like timbercraft steppers we talked about, stepper climbers, and that's what he's talking about with incorporating tot to 5, is how can we range these steppers into different variations? I think we had talked about like a castle in that natural play. So basically those two identified items are for these age group. It's a natural play experience. And these steppers are kind of part of that, along with maybe incorporating like a rain garden to get some, like I said, contrast and color.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, still moving along as best as we can be. We were kind of looking into, fundraising, like I had mentioned, and we've met with some people about fundraising. Now there's some things with our donation policy, unfortunately, that we have to look at and clear up before we can continue moving forward with that. But we can still, focus on our plan for our big items like we've established, and how are we going to, talk to those larger donors for those larger items.
Jack, could you please refresh my mind on what's the time schedule for getting a completed plan so you can start moving some of this forward with some certainty out into the community?
Well, I think it's an ongoing process, Buzz. We tried to, have that in January, but there's, things change. And we're going to continue working as best as we can. But like the timeline stuff, I need to have, the grant is a huge thing. The grant it all revolves around this grant, and if we get that money, so we can start, putting some of these items in. So I think I'd have a clear, like what we presented in January, do a refresher on that. That's the best thing I can tell you with timeline, when we had Phil here. And then just know that I'm going to be working hard on this grant along with other people. Dave did some great write-up for the rec pond, and that's been a great help for me, just being able to, change out information for this project. So we're getting there, and like I said, Buzz, I think it's going to all revolve around if we've got the money for this grant, and, we're running into some
So
other things.
how can we apply for a grant if we don't have a final plan? And what's the timeline on the grant application?
I'd say we do have a final plan, but it revolves around if we've got the money for the grant.
What do you mean money for the grant? I'm confused.
Well, this Knowles Nelson is about $250,000 that we'd get back from it, and then we'd match it. But it's going to be a huge sum, and things revolve around it for the project moving forward.
Hey, Buzz, this is Dave. Just for clarification, you don't have to have final engineered plans for the Knowles Nelson, but you do have to have some pretty accurate cost estimates and a
Right.
preliminary design. So we had that for Rec Pond, and I will tell you, when we applied for it, I didn't feel like we had anything super specific, but we had enough. So I'm kind of feeling like what Jack has got is going to be plenty. But I think what Jack meant to say was we need the money from the grant, to be able to do the project. Yeah. And
I
it does
get
it does
that, but I
require a
guess-
match. It does require a match, which I think we do have.
Right. Okay, so I'm confused here. We're talking about the old grant. Has that gone away and we're applying for a new grant now? Or are we trying to
So the
existing grant?
the rec pond grant, Buzz, when we decided last, I think it was March or April, to not do the rec pond, I did reach
Correct.
out, I reached back to the DNR and asked, and I kind of knew the answer, but asked if we could just use that for another purpose, and we can't. You have to be specific when you apply for the grant.
That's what I
So,
thought we were at.
yeah, so that money had to go back. Well, we never had it, so.
We never had it.
But the one disadvantage of looking into a playground, it's in lock-on funding. So that's the reservation I have, Buzz. Is the rec pond came from stewardship dollars in Knowles Nelson. And playground, there's two parts of Knowles Nelson funding, lock-on and stewardship. And playgrounds are taken out of this lock-on funding and only had 600,000 and were awarded three park projects last year throughout the whole state. And our rec pond was stewardship dollars, and there's more available for that. So we do have to, establish what stewardship opportunities are there. So like that entrance sign, that could be a stewardship opportunity. So it's things like that I'll be working on this month.
Are we
Grants.
trying the grant application, is that a May deadline or
May
what's
1.
the deadline for this?
May 1.
Are you trying to make that deadline then, Jack?
Oh, absolutely. Yep, we're applying.
Okay, that's what my real question was. Are we gonna make a grant application in 2025?
Oh, yeah, and if we don't get it in 25, we're gonna do it again in 26.
Renee, did you have a question?
Got it.
Just real quick, are they two separate grants? The stewardship and the
No, it's
lockout,
all
did you
part
say?
of Knowles Nelson. This
So
was
you could do it
from
in
the
one
meeting.
grant.
This is from the meeting with Grace that we had a couple months ago. She broke that down for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so it's all part of Knowles Nelson. There's stewardship and lockout funding, and everyone wants to put a playground in. They had 127 projects last year, and only 3 got awarded. So, but us being a rural county with a large Hispanic population, we're gonna get points that other people wouldn't.
Definitely.
So, we'll see.
We got a great project, Jack. Good luck.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Is it okay to go on the snowmobile maintenance then?
Sure. Yep. So basically, that's just the resolution for the maintenance grant. I work with the, like I said, the Associated Club, 9-club group, and then help them out with applications for bridges. And we also run a maintenance program called SNARS. The clubs go ahead and put that info into, like you see those stakes and that signage when you're driving down the highway. That's all part of this. So the grooming, when we do get snowfall, they do that, and we do appreciate all the great work that they do, and we have some great, cool trails. Like I went to meet with Al Kolstad, Arcadia's president, and never really, put it into grips like how amazing like our trails are until I met with Al out there. Just being able to see those, that different terrain, elevation, different kind of landscapes, really cool. So, gave me a kick in the butt to, we've helped Osseo out these last couple of years, so we gotta get to helping some other people out, I think, going forward. So I think I'll do Bills Valley, we'll do a bridge next year over there.
I'll have Renee read the resolution if that's okay.
Yep.
Then they know what you're talking about in the material.
Yep, so this is for the maintenance one, and then we also have county NN. So this is the maintenance grant.
Whereas Trempealeau County currently has 259.1 miles of state-funded snowmobile trails that provide important outdoor recreation opportunities to residents as well as visitors, and whereas this network of trails must be maintained through activities such as clearing debris and trail grooming to ensure the trails are safe and passable, and whereas this work is done on behalf of Trempealeau County by a number of different snowmobile clubs under the umbrella of the Associated Snowmobile Clubs of Trempealeau County, and whereas maintenance costs are reimbursable through a maintenance grant provided by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, DNR, based on a formula which considers number of trail miles, and whereas Trempealeau County, as the state-recognized county snowmobile coordinator, must submit the maintenance grant request to the DNR as well as track and reimbursable eligible costs to the clubs. Now be it resolved that the county administrator is authorized to submit the grant request, accept funds to account 101.43571, snowmobile trails, and review from account 101.55440.395 trail maintenance for costs of maintaining the trails, introduced by Parks, Tourism, Economic Development.
Any discussion available on the resolution that was read by Renee? Jack, anything additional on the resolution?
Nope.
The members have any comments on the resolution? If not, is there a motion for this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a second?
I second it. Rich?
Yep, thank you, Rich. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll so proceed to vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, please say no. Motion passes. The resolution on snowmobile maintenance grant is passed. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to apply for the Wisconsin DNR Motorized Recreation Grant and Recreation Trails Program for County NN Snowmobile and ATV Bridge in Osseo. Renee, if you could read that resolution also, please.
Certainly. Whereas Trempealeau County currently has 259.1 miles of state-funded snowmobile trails that provide important outdoor recreation opportunities to residents as well as visitors, and whereas this network of snowmobile trails also contributes significantly to our local economy by drawing visitors to this area who spend money on gas, lodging, groceries, supplies, and dining, and whereas a number of these trails require bridges to traverse bodies of water or other terrain safely. Whereas Trempealeau County, in coordination with area snowmobile clubs, annually assess the need for bridge repair or replacement. Annually assess the need for bridge repair or replacement, and Trempealeau County, as part of this process, has identified the Trempealeau has identified the county and bridge in Osseo, which is located on state-funded trail, as a bridge in need of replacement. And whereas Trempealeau County intends to apply for funding from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, DNR, to be able to complete this bridge replacement project. Now be it resolved that the county administrator is authorized to submit the grant request for this bridge replacement. Expenses will be coded to account 101.55440.393, special projects, and funds to be deposited into account 101.43572, DNR grants, introduced by Parks, Tourism, and Economic Development.
Is there a motion on this county NN Bridge Replacement Project resolution?
Motion to accept.
So moved.
Got a motion to accept and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there discussion on the county NN Bridge Replacement Project resolution?
Just a bridge that we applied for last year that we're gonna be applying for this year because we didn't get it. And
All right, it's one of
They
those.
gave us, yeah, they gave us the go ahead and apply again next year.
So we could be a
What is the
priority.
cost on something like that?
Yeah, so there's an AWSC that meets in July or August every year. I was at the last one. And basically, that's how we got that Osseo Golf Course Bridge funded, is they kind of have a meeting with everybody in all the counties and present who got awarded funding. And we got I think 59,000 in recreation trails program fund. We applied for both recreation trails and the snowmobile motorized recreation. 29 being motorized recreation, 59 being RTP. So I'd like to do the same thing to give us the best chance to, get that bridge, which I think we'd get it, but it doesn't hurt.
Need to vote? All those in favor of the county NN Bridge Replacement Project resolution, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, no. The ayes have it. The resolution is passed.
Jack, would a guy gain any points? The Wisconsin Snowmobile Association has got what they call county-friendly for snowmobiles. Would a person gain more points towards some of these grants if we applied to be a snowmobile-friendly county?
I haven't heard about that before.
Yeah, they post it quite regularly in Wisconsin Snowmobile Association magazine and stuff like that.
I can look more into it.
That we're welcoming snowmobilers into our area.
Right, I mean, we've got a large number of miles compared to other counties. so,
Right. But I know, like, you get up north, it's quite an honor to have that, that we're welcoming, and the state acknowledges these counties, and that
Sure.
for being snowmobile welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at the AWSC website a few times and never noticed that, so I can look more into that, Bob, and
Okay.
maybe get back to
Ma-
you.
Maybe Mother Nature needs to know that we're a snowmobile,
We want to be preferred.
friendly community.
The one thing good about the NN is it does see all year-round use, so ATVs do use it, so it'll be great. It'll have a $25,000 load capacity if EV Welding or who's the other one, Custom, whoever ends up getting it. So
All right, we'll proceed to the Friedenthal Manufacturing suggestion of the picnic table frames. Jack, that's on your agenda again. We're working you hard today.
yeah. So 2824 was the quote. It's an internal initiative that we've already previously approved, and things never got internally done this last year with it. So price tag, I believe, is 2824, and it's for 15 picnic table frames. We do have treated wood for that already, and basically it'll be an initiative done by our groundskeepers. And I'll probably have some thoughts on like colors and stuff like that with them.
Do we need a motion to formalize it then, Jack?
Wouldn't hurt.
Is there any member of the committee that would move with the proposal on the picnic table frames from the Friedenthal Manufacturing?
I would move that we proceed with the proposal for the Friedenthal Manufacturing picnic table proposal.
Second.
Moved by Renee, second by Kevin. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote with the picnic table frames purchased through Friedenthal Manufacturing. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those in opposition, no. Motion passes. We will spend the $2,824 for the picnic table frames through Friedenthal Manufacturing.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, we get the tag team input on outdoor recreation by Jack and by Dave.
Yes. So I'm just going to share my report quick. This will be the last thing I've got. Like we said, working on a waterways permit with City of Osseo, make sure that Osseo Golf Course Bridge goes as planned. Be stopping there tomorrow morning, working with Steve on that. Water trail report, it's kind of something we've been wanting to do. Was able to get to it. What's been done, communications with Elk Rod and Gun. Maintenance plan set out to communities, Modudoc set to go in April. Signage company identified. We've got great resource with BCE Enterprises and getting some cheap signs made by the Stanley Correctional staff and inmates.
Bless you.
They can do some great projects. I've been very impressed with working with them with the overview signage. So for the campsite, so I want to continue that relationship. We had a kickoff meeting last June, and then Kevin and I in the TV studio got some drone images from up above, and then basically attended WPRAs, which I forgot to mention in the park report, but earlier this month, or in February, I went to the conference, and WPRA is a great opportunity for learning and growth and collaboration between park professionals. So you get a lot of good ideas from attending this conference, and they usually have a fall workshop that I like to go to. But attended this underutilized recreational spaces across the country, and have some deliverables and like I took good notes and then put it into somewhat of a plan. Don't necessarily need to go over all of this today, but just know we have it, and it's still something I'm continuing to look into and, provide background information for, and how can we make those next steps. This Baraboo River corridor, it got mentioned. I was doing some research on it previously, and then it got mentioned at the plan, and I think it's kind of similar situation that we have. So take a look at that Baraboo River corridor, and then I'll let Dave, do a rehash on the Voyagers, on what you're thinking there.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, this is an idea, I think we've talked about it before, but Jack will probably want to implement this, although I can help in the next couple months. But, with the Trempealeau River trail that we're trying to, further develop, And I say further because there's obviously a lot of, a couple, 3 good ports there already that the conservation clubs have put in addition to other ones. But we do want to encourage people to come and use the trail, but also, I think, to help us maybe identify some more needs but also provide, some third-party experiences of what the river is like that hopefully will attract other people to want to come and use it. So if you go on and you search for trail reports on the Trempealeau River, there's a few out there, right, Jack? And, they're pretty good, but I think it's pretty much Whitehall to,
It's more southern based.
yeah, there's some around, Trempealeau, and then there's a couple from like Whitehall to Independence, but there's just not real good coverage in terms of, people experiencing all parts of the trail. And so my thought was that we kind of do something that accomplishes a couple of purposes, and that is to, maybe, get a special T-shirt or, whatever printed up that if under the brand of like Trempealeau River Voyagers with the, French spelling, for Voyagers. Something that would be really kind of an enticement maybe, if you're thinking about going in as a kayak, on a kayak or canoe trip somewhere in this area to come visit the Trempealeau River and then, paddle a segment, submit a report on what you saw, maybe some pictures, and in exchange you get a T-shirt. And then that's something that we could use to market on Facebook, on our Trempealeau County Tourism website. So it's just an idea. I've got it in my mind. I'm not a visual person like that could design this, but I would probably, and when I retire, I probably will get my kayak out and paddle some of these segments. But I'm really intrigued, for instance, I've kind of seen the river a lot, from Whitehall down through Arcadia. But what it's like south of Arcadia down to Trempealeau, it's kind of a mystery to me. Yeah, and that's what I think would be really fantastic is to get some people, kind of explorers that could paddle some of those sections, come up with some reports. And so not only are we getting information, but we're getting some publicity out of it. So that is something I'd really like in the next couple months to really pin down with Jack and see if we could, implement that as a marketing promotional strategy.
Sounds like a podcast possibility for a
There you
play-by-play, mile-by-mile
Yep.
update on the Trempealeau River, is what it sounds like.
I just traveling south of out of Arcadia, going down towards Dodge, I really lose track of where the heck the river is. But I know that there's, some pretty impressive hills and bluffs and stuff. And I gotta believe, and somebody can confirm if they know, I gotta believe that river in that section goes through some really scenic area with hills on either side that you can see. And that's not boring. That sounds like it would be a really fantastic trip.
Actually, it's prettier on the Buffalo County side when you go down south of Arcadia, what they call rock.
Yep.
The rock cut area down there is
Yeah,
awesome.
so that's the kind of thing, we have no information on that. There's been no reviews. I mean, literally, somebody who wants to paddle that, you're breaking ground.
Well, I've seen it by horseback, so I will tell you, it's definitely worth, we have hundreds of people that'll ride through along the river, and there's some spots I can't cross on horse, so I'll tell you, it's pretty nasty. It's got some good stuff.
Yep, and then just a few other ideas with what's still needed is like technical advisory to the public with people along the river. Something I'm worried about is like trapping, is people trapping along the river. I don't necessarily know if there's nothing we can do about it, but it's something that we should at least advise people about. Definitely. So I feel like that's something that might come out of that technical advisory. Signage is needed when more actionable items are determined. Overall plan on how we take this information forward and put it in an informational document geared towards tourism. That's kind of what I've seen is you need to have this broken down into where we can put it in our waysides, put it at our ports. So shuttle service, point A to point B, still got to establish that. Some ideas have been thrown around, nothing's been established. And then the Baraboo River does have a Friends of group that kind of does that. I encourage, well, I can pull up the website of what that looks like quick. Paddles up, guide for exploring the Baraboo. This is just what they have, Friends of the Baraboo River. I know with water stuff, like you'll see, we've got a Friends of Trempealeau Lakes, and people can get behind water stuff a little bit easier. This is kind of stuff, some of the stuff that they do. So I encourage you to take a look at what they have going on the Baraboo River and how can we emulate that, because something I was researching myself, and then it got brought forward to me at that park thing, and I'm like, yeah, I was probably looking at the right type of project. So if we're going to build a water trail and build it right, I think this is a great example.
Any additional items at all between the two of you, Jack and Dave?
We are working on, Dave and I are working on the Trempealeau County Music Series. We do want to do that again this year. So I thought we had a good first year, thinking about leisure opportunities and parks. Now we're more thinking about just outdoor experience for people with music.
To qualify for that, Jack, what does the music event have to be? Does it have to be sponsored by local establishments, or how do they get qualified into the Trempealeau County music?
So basically, what Dave and I had kind of talked about is we want to leave it open. We want to, give people the opportunity. Send it to all our cities. I sent it to cities and ended up incorporating in a village this last year. But we want to send it to all our cities and villages, and just have everyone have a voice in what they want to do. Have a little bit more formal process with the letter that goes out, and then dates in 2-week increments for people to sign up for. So I think it's going to be more formalized. I'm glad we did it the first year. You got to try and go out on a limb and do some stuff. And there was a lot of figuring out on my part on what are we going to do, and what am I going to say, like when I go MC at some of these places. And it's a little nerve-wracking. City Osseo, there's a lot of people there, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but I don't know if that's anyone's favorite thing to do.
You're good at it.
Yeah.
I think last year that, Jack sent these, and it was a great project to get off the ground. But as he said, he sent them to cities and villages. And I think most of the events that happened were sponsored by that, village or city, and they put together stuff and did it in a park. There were, a few different things, like the one at Old Main in Galesville that ended up getting canceled. That's a separate entity, from the city of Galesville. But I think this year, what Jack and I had kind of talked about was still sending the invites out to the villages and cities, but with the idea that this could be a little open. They may decide that, like for instance in Trempealeau, they do a lot of music at the Trempealeau Hotel and Saloon. And so, could Trempealeau's stop on the music series be something that's done in cooperation with something that maybe the Trempealeau Hotel has planned? Because that was a little bit of feedback that came last year was, one, why was our community excluded? And two, there's a lot of other, music that's going on in the county that it would benefit from being part of this. So those, to me, those are good criticisms because it means that people think that it's something they want to be involved in. So that's kind of the, frame that we're looking at this in this year. Although it's really Jack. I mean, this is his baby. He did this in Chippewa when he was up there, right? So it's a great additional, stepping stone expansion for what we're doing.
That's why I brought it up, was there was a private campground next to me that has already announced their music dates, Trempealeau Outdoors, and they've got the full calendar, so I wanted to know if that was available for it or if there was limitations, and I would gladly text you or email you the information, because
Yeah.
they want to have a large crowd, and it's one of those things that we can help out economic development. I'd say that'd be a big thing on our list, to be working with your music.
We were thinking more singular, giving everyone an opportunity to get their name on for a date,
Yeah.
and then have a backup date, so they have a date. And then it's fair to everybody. That way we're not putting, like, say, Arcadia on for 3, and then only putting Whitehall on for 1, even though they have 4 concerts. So that sort of stuff, continuing to work with, everybody throughout the county, not staying focused into the southern area, central area. We want to incorporate everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Jack, did you consider maybe having one at Petrick Park and get the 4-H kids involved in something like that?
Maybe eventually, I'd want to do, if it was Petrick Park, I'd want it to be niched, like we're trying to do with some other stuff. So like something that isn't necessarily done other places. Like I love the idea of polka, a polka fest out there, but we'll see.
And I'm sure if we talk to some of our Hispanics, could get
That
one of
too.
the bands out there, and you'd have a tremendous crowd if you announced it at the rodeo, and then try to get some things that were, as you say, niched, and that is local, it's close, and I'm sure you'd have a large crowd if you got a quality band.
Not to pile on with, what we do with Arcadia or, with Ashley Week, but a thought I had in the past is, now we're trying to encourage people, and we got a lot of full week reservations this year, just because of a pricing change we did in promotion, is to maybe do something on the Wednesday night of Ashley, because Ashley's music starts on Thursday.
Right.
So that would be something, but I make that suggestion, not saying Jack should do that, because, you're the one who's to do the work. But that would be a good way to incorporate, Petrick Park into the mix.
I think that's a good idea, kickoff to Ashley for the Arts, but I'm also wondering about like a fundraiser at the park that would include music and maybe some food trucks, like a big event, something that we could maybe do annually, that hopefully would bring in some money.
Fall Food Truck Festival is one I always thought would be.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Excellent.
And they love to go to them. And the vendors like to, and people like to go to them.
That space is set up for events, so going
Okay.
about it the right way. I do love the ideas. It's good, and I've had some of the same. And like getting donation boxes and bins out there is kind of the first step.
Rich, did you have a comment? I saw your name flash up.
Well, I just have a question related to the grant, whenever.
Yep, Rich.
My question is that when you write the grant and submit the grant, is there any way that you could incorporate some kind of a video security system out there in an effort to protect the items that we're putting in under the grant? Is that possible?
I think so. I don't know. I'd have to look more into it, Rich. Like specific items like security, I think I can work into my budget, my park budget.
I
It
think
doesn't
that's-
necessarily need to be a part of the grant.
It all depends upon what kind of a system you're putting in there. of
Right, and we
course.
already
If you
have
just-
two security cameras out there, one on our restroom, one in our shelter. And we got to get a couple more out there, I believe, this year.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I can look into that.
All right, as far as the next item on the agenda is future agenda items. During the meeting, I was able to accumulate the tree trimming idea, the water fountain, and the Connect Park reservations. Is there any additional items that you guys would want me to add for future agenda items? Anybody got anything?
I think it goes without saying, doesn't it, Jack? You'll have a better update on the grant application, where you're at with that in April.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to be working on a
Okay.
lot this month.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Is there any additional items that need to be presented at this time to the committee? The next traditionally scheduled meeting would be April 1st, 2025, here at the boardroom. Is there any difficulties or challenges with that date that we need to be aware of? Yeah, well, if there's a problem, we can change it. If it's not a problem, I don't see changing it because everybody's in a pretty good regiment as far as getting here for the meetings. All right, since there's no additional items, the meeting is adjourned.